speaking of making things, when you went down your list of green things, there's one green drink that you didn't mention. Gemma, I hope you don't mind, but I brought us a treat.
I love treats.
And so I'm going to go get it.
Okay,
I'll be right back.
Perfect.
Coming up on Need to Know, we are talking everything St. Patrick's Day, which celebrities celebrate it, the abundance of green food, and what's Irish baking really all about. That and everything else you need to know. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Need to Know. I'm Gemma Stafford, professional chef, cookbook author, and the host of Bigger Bolder Baking. And as always, I'm joined by my two lovely co-hosts, Ami Shukla, who is the culinary director here at Bigger Bolder Baking, and Tiana Cohn, who is a professional host and an amateur baker. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
You look very springy today.
Oh,
you both do.
Well, thank you.
Back at you.
We're on theme. Well, yeah, anyway, we'll get into this, but I'm not really on theme. I'm half the Irish flag.
Still on theme.
Yeah.
I'd love to just kind of hop into it. So we talked, as we opened up this episode, our theme here, we are only 1 week away from St. Patrick's Day. So I thought to kick things off from hot from the oven, we could talk about St. Patrick's Day. So there's a couple of celebrities that I found it interesting that they really love to go all out for St. Patrick's Day. One of them is Miley Cyrus. She loves to get into the holiday, super glam, all in her green. And then another celebrity that I thought was kind of interesting that loves to celebrate St. Patrick's Day is Mariah Carey. Also loves to get full green, go all out, do the whole thing.
That makes sense because she's like a big holiday person.
Yeah, she does love
So anything a little bit extra.
Yeah,
When you said that makes
spectacle.
sense, I was like, wait, why? Is she Irish?
No.
Yeah.
No, she is not.
No, but
But she goes all out on the holidays. And so it makes, yeah.
I guess
She's a little bit extra is Mariah. She's known for that.
Yeah. And I guess Miley Cyrus is has that big personality too. It makes sense. They like to go all out.
And
But
it's like, it's a party
yeah.
holiday.
Sure,
so
yeah.
yeah.
But what we found, which I actually thought was so cool, is that the artist Hozier is born on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
And he did a secret concert last year on
And he's Irish, for those who don't know.
Yeah,
He
I
is the
heard-
most amazing. You know Hozier, right?
Oh, I love him. I heard about that
just the
secret
best.
concert. I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah. So he's an Irish artist. He famously sung, I don't know, like 11, 12 years ago, Take Me to Church, where like that was his big, like huge song. And when people say like I've been to like 200 like Grateful Dead concerts, I've been to, and I'm not a huge music person. I listen to all of Hozier, and I've been to, I'd say like 6 or 7 concerts.
Wow.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
No, I would say that would be a lot. I don't
Yeah.
think I've been to 6 or 7 concerts of anyone.
So in Ireland, we don't have a huge amount of celebrities because we're such a small little island. But Hozier now is one of our most popular.
Mm-hmm.
So, with the holiday coming up, I've been seeing a lot of fun St. Patrick's Day themed recipes. And Better Homes and Gardens actually had a whole list of like what to make to celebrate the holiday. So I thought we could dissect some of them and talk about them. The number one was a shamrock shaped cookie. It was like a shortbread cookie shaped like a shamrock with green sprinkles and stuff.
Love anything shortbread.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is Irish.
Yeah.
There you go. Pistachio bars, which I had never really heard of. The next one is key lime cheesecake bars.
I do love key lime.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't feel like St. Patrick's Day to me. It feels like,
Well, yeah, but is it green?
sure,
I mean, isn't the thing like with St. Patrick's Day that like everything has to be green?
maybe.
Like green beer, green rivers, green,
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's at least the way I grew up. Everything
Yeah.
was like, wear green, eat green.
Yeah.
Everything's
be
green.
Be
It's so
green.
funny because be green.
Kermit the Frog. It ain't easy being green.
What is it? It's good to be green.
Yeah.
It ain't easy being
It ain't
green.
easy being green. That's it. It's funny because so I've been here 17 years now, and when I came here, I did not know that, and I learned this because on my first St. Patrick's Day here, you're supposed to wear green or you get pinched.
Mhm.
That food is colored green and drinks are colored green, and none, like me growing up in Ireland, none of that was a thing for St. Patrick's Day.
Really?
No, none of us, not even wearing green.
Really?
Yeah, not even when no, and there was no now today because of the internet and because we all have like so many there's such more of I feel like a lot of that comes from America. And because we have a huge influence from America now, like we have Halloween now in Ireland, where like you trick or treat,
Right.
which I never would have grown up with that. So St. Patrick's Day is like, there are those kinds of things there. People wear more green and they have fun t-shirts and stuff made. You probably still can't buy green beer in Ireland, I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not a green themed holiday. So growing up in Ireland, we wouldn't have anything like that. It's all really fun. And, running a baking website, like I see this stuff all the time. When you go on Pinterest and you look up St. Patrick's Day, you see Irish potato candies, which I have to say, my friend a few years ago who's Irish in Santa Monica messaged me. And she said, have you ever heard of a potato candy? And I was like, no, what's that? She was like, my neighbors, these little girls next door dropped off these potato candies and I have no idea what it is.
Did you try one?
She kept one for me.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea.
It's coconut. It's flaked sweetened coconut mixed with I think some sugar and stuff like that. And then they're shaped into little kind of like longer kind of things, and then you dust them, not a ball, in kind of like a long flatter kind of a thing, and you dust them in cocoa powder, and it looks like a potato. And they're candies, and they're called Irish potato candies.
Oh.
But are they green?
No, but they're not even Irish.
Yeah.
But they're really fun. But you know what? I have to say, it was very delicious. But the two of us were standing there looking at these things like, what are they?
They're Irish potato candies.
Potato candies,
Obviously.
which I've never heard of, but it's very fun. I actually think I'm going to make them with George because it's very sweet.
Okay, speaking of making things, when you went down your list of green things, there's one green drink that you didn't mention. Gemma, I hope you don't mind, but I brought us a treat.
I love treats.
And so I'm going to go get it.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Perfect.
Oh, I'm excited.
Oh my goodness.
Tell us what's in this green treat.
So this is a Shamrock Shake.
Can I try it?
Ooh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mm.
I have to say, I like this.
Taste of my childhood.
Really?
Yes. So a little history. The Shamrock Shake is actually a classic shake that's served up at McDonald's around St. Patrick's Day. And it was actually invented in my home state of Connecticut.
Oh.
Was it really?
Yeah, in the mid-60s.
I thought people in Connecticut were fancy.
Well, you made this a fancy shake. It was invented by a man named Hal Rosen, who owned a McDonald's franchise in Connecticut.
This is very delicious.
Yes, I know. And so I feel a personal connection to the Shamrock Shake. But also, another fun fact about the Shamrock Shake is that in the mid-70s, and I think it was 1974, the sales of the then very popular Shamrock Shakes helped contribute to the building of the very first Ronald McDonald House, which is a house, that if you guys don't know, it's a house that helps keep kids together, families together when children are going through medical treatments.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I haven't heard about that in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very green,
Yeah.
but it's very yummy.
Mm-hmm.
I do love mint ice cream.
Mm.
This is yummy. I will say, so, traditionally in Ireland, so if I were to sum up Irish baking, in general, I would say the word that comes to mind is simplicity. And simplicity in the best kind of way, which is it's not complicated. You're talking about basic baking ingredients. Irish eggs, Irish butter, eggs that probably come from your own chickens, Irish flour, cream, the sugar. Like I grew up beside a field that grew sugar beets. Lots. When you think about farm to table, this is literally a small island of 4 million people, and everything was kind of local because it was so small. And then you think about like the fruit that we use, gooseberries that like my auntie used to grow, rhubarb that grew in our garden, Bramley apples, which I've talked about Bramley apples a lot. They're these gnarly looking apples. They're not good for eating, but they are fantastic for cooking. Blackberries that grew on the lane beside our house. Like all of these things are the sum of like what make Irish baking so beautiful. Our traditional recipes, like I said, they're simple. They're made with good quality ingredients that taste like really amazing. Like when I went to Ballymaloo Cooking School now, 20 years ago. And she's been around, and Doreen Allen and Ballymaloe has been around since the 70s. They've put Irish cooking and baking on the map. And you know what my mom grew up with and my dad and their parents, like, is still very prevalent in Ireland today, is the fundamental is good quality ingredients and simple. And that's not to say that there's not some amazing chefs and bakers and patisseries in Ireland today, because we're a nation of travelers. So, you know, being from a small island, you know, and I am one of those people. I traveled a lot after I graduated college, and then I actually, you know, ended up moving away, and now I've been in the US for 17 years. But a lot of people traveled back to Ireland with the skills that they picked up in Asia and Australia and New Zealand, in Canada, and you know, in South America, and they bring all of that back to Ireland. And that, you know, a lot of that happened during you know, 2012, 2013, like after the recession, people came back to Ireland. So Ireland's culinary scene right now is very different to what I grew up with. It's way more diverse. Because of the baking scene around the world, like, we've definitely like stepped up, and I really feel like it's a food destination. Ireland is a food destination. Mm-hmm. So if you're ever thinking of taking a trip, a foodie holiday, like, Ireland would be it.
Yeah, sounds like it. I think that would be really fun.
As I eat my Shamrock Shake.
I know. Well, I mean, those Irish apple tarts that you were just talking about, could they at least be made with green apples?
Yes, green apples. Yes, they can be made with. They are green apples.
What I find so intriguing about that is you're kind of keep going back to this idea that, you know, Irish baking, the way the holidays even celebrated, it's really going back to like the basics. It's very simple, and it's living in this rich tradition of the food, and the food being from the land, and that idea. So I kind of want to talk about some differences of how St. Patrick's Day on a whole has celebrated across the sea, if you will, like how it should be or how it has been in Ireland, and then how Americans do it. So I did pull up some like fun facts. So as we get into the mix here, I thought we could kind of like weigh the differences. So something here in America we obviously see is a lot of things are green. You know, there's this really big emphasis on a leprechaun, and he brings gold, and there's rainbows and fun things like that. And then you know, Frankie is from Chicago, and in Chicago, they dye the river green. They have this huge parade. And then the number one thing that I've seen in my young adult life is drinking. There's a big emphasis on like, it's a big party. So how is that different from how it would be celebrated in Ireland if you were still there?
Well, the drinking is the same. The party is the same. What we call in Ireland, we call it the crack.
Yeah.
The crack is still the same. I have to say, I was in Chicago last year for St. Patrick's Day, and I saw, I have photos, I saw the River Green. It was mayhem.
Yeah.
We were downtown Chicago too for a show that we go to. It was absolute mayhem. But in Ireland, I like to think about, you know, I haven't done a St. Patrick's Day in Ireland in 17 years. So when I was in my early 20s, it was a party. Growing up, however, it was, you know, in talking like, you know, 87, 88, you know, into early 90s. What it was my mum, we would have like a roast dinner on that day, let me see, St. Patrick's Day, probably you're talking maybe some lamb, probably lamb, something like that. And we would have a homemade dessert. It could be apple crumble. Sometimes my mum made cheesecakes actually for kind of like a special occasion. So it was something that my mum would have made. And we would do a parade in our town, and our town was tiny. So I'm from County Wexford, which is the southeast of Ireland. And they would do a parade around the town. But there would be like some dancers, there would be some like local, you know, businesses like advertising. There could be like something for the kids, some kids entertainment, but they would all be on floats that were the backs of trucks. Mm-hmm. Or if there was like a lorry, the sides were taken down, and there would be like, you know, a band playing in the lorry. It was very local and down home. Like I said, it was the late 80s. And I don't remember them ever throwing anything like candies or anything like that. But I remember very clearly before we left the house, we would have shamrocks pinned to our jackets. It was cold. We'd all have jackets on. We'd have shamrocks pinned to our jackets for the day. And my dad would take us because my mom would stay at home and make lunch. And I remember that, like, and it was 5 of us. I have 4 siblings. I remember that being really lovely. And like every year, you know, you'd see some dancers and it would just go around the town, and like it wasn't huge, you know, but it was really sweet. That's the way it used to be celebrated when I was growing up.
You just sparked a memory, or made me think of, is corned beef and cabbage a traditional Irish dish, or is that something that was Americanized?
It's mostly Americanized. So in America, you would get corned beef and cabbage. We would do ham. And the difference is like the brining. It's just, but the cabbage is the same, mashed potatoes, it's all very similar, but we wouldn't normally do corned beef.
Got it.
For St. Patrick's Day. Right. So like something like ham. Sometimes I said lamb, and I kind of think like maybe I'm thinking more Easter, like lamb or ham, something like that.
It's so interesting to me hearing like what St. Patrick's Day in Ireland was like. And like, it's such a big deal here in America, and I'm sure in other parts of the world. And it's, you know, we all grew up celebrating St. Patrick's Day, and like I'm not Irish, you know, like it was just funny. Like, you know, it was like, you didn't really think about like, why are we all celebrating? Like everyone like puts on something green. It's really funny. It's this big deal, and you know, this big party, and to like celebrate, you know, being Irish.
I know, right?
And then I hear from you like, oh, it's a completely different thing in Ireland. But it makes me think like, how did those traditions come up as people were in America or other parts of the world? And like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's big green rivers and green parades and green food. Is it particularly an American thing, or are Irish people in Australia and in other parts of the world also celebrating the same way?
I don't know. Today, I think it's it's very different. Like I will tell you that like after the financial crisis in 2008, they started to do big St. Patrick's Day parades in Dublin City, bigger than ever, to get people there, to build a crowd, to like, you know, to just really feel the love again. And they became bigger and bigger and bigger. I know now in Dublin City, which is was always bigger than I'm from a very small town. So Dublin always had a big parade. But today they're huge. And I know that people like, you know, dancing Irish dancing clubs in America will travel to Dublin for that day and be a part of the parade. People come from all over the world to be a part of the St. Patrick's Day parade in Dublin. So things have really changed. Yeah. So like in Australia, like, are they dying stuff green? Like, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. But it's also just like an interesting thing about like, just how are you bringing, you know, you've left Ireland, you know, I mean, I don't know, like you know, you're 2 generations in, and like, how do you stay connected to like all of these traditions? How do you stay connected to your family? How do you stay connected? And like, you know, somehow like, you know, how that gets exaggerated or changed or different, where like, you know, we're now drinking green shakes and, and
there's a saying, I think I learned this in America, you don't have to be Irish to be Irish. You don't have to be Irish to be Irish. That's a good one. What I was thinking of was everyone's a little bit Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah.
Because it's fun. It's a fun. Like, what other holidays do we have? Like Halloween is fun, but like what other holidays do we have? It's just like everybody get together and have a big blowout party.
Yeah, it's like, it's just silly. But like, so do you find that like when, you know, for example, in St. Patrick's Day, you were talking about these traditions in Ireland. Like, are you doing the same sort of things here in the States, or has your St. Patrick's Day celebrations become more Americanized, or like, is there more green, or is there, do you like stay with more traditional foods?
I do green now. I don't really, like, I have a jumper that literally says Irish on it.
Why aren't you wearing that right now?
Really, because it's one step away from jammies. That's why I'm not wearing it right now. I do because of George. So even before George, like Kevin and I would go to an Irish pub in Santa Monica and have like Irish breakfast. So I would do, if I can get it, I will do like breakfast stuff here, which I've, you know, kind of realized over the years is just 5 different types of pork, but all fried. But I do because of George, because he's half Irish. In school, they have a big thing that it's they, you know, some of the kids come in t-shirts, and George has a hat, and they all know that his mom is Irish. Last year, I went into class, and I think I bought them in some scones, some homemade scones, and then I taught them head, shoulders, knees, and toes as Gaeilge, which was really fun, and didn't have a clue what I was saying. But because they know head, shoulders, knees, and toes, we did it in English, and then we did it in Irish. So yeah, because of George, it's important for me.
Yeah.
That he has like real, like we do like proper food. At Christmas time, we do traditional food, mince pies, Christmas pudding, things like that. And he loves mince pies.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things with George, like kind of like, they kind of complete me, you know. It's just like, this is like, it makes me like really happy to see that he enjoys those
It's
things.
nice to see your kids develop a taste for foods from your own traditions.
Yeah, it is.
You know, and then when they get excited about it, you feel like, oh, they feel connected to something that I feel deeply connected to.
Yeah, it's lovely. And then because, I mean, it's obvious that food is all of our love language. So like when he likes something that's Irish, I'm sure he's going to love the Irish potato candies.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be jealous that we have these.
That's his American side. He's going to be these all have to disappear by the time he gets home from school, by the way.
Good thing they're very short.
Yeah.
So if somebody out there who's like listening, who maybe didn't know that the differences in, you know, Irish baking to American baking, especially around the holiday, what could be something that people could make this holiday season? We still have 1 week left before St. Patrick's Day. Like, what would you make if you were having people over, or like even a dinner, or like what could you bake that would lean more traditional to bring to like an event or gift for St. Patrick's Day?
So that's a great question. And a little bit like Ami, I like to do kind of a themed dinner. So we will have like Irish, main course. I will do a drink and like an Irish themed dessert, or like a traditional Irish dessert. So for those of you who follow biggerbolderbaking.com, you will see that Ami and I have been producing a lot of whiskey recipes throughout the year, not just for St. Patrick's Day. And I'm actually using my family's whiskey, which is O'Driscoll's whiskey from the south of Ireland.
Oh my God.
It's, for even like when people think like, you know, I'm not a huge whiskey drinker, it is like, and I always thought like, I'm not the hardest like dark liquor person. But O'Driscoll's is really smooth. It kind of has vanilla notes. I make like these most, I think I do anyway. Ami, you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong. Whiskey sours.
Oh, I dream of those. I actually tried. I
so
think I might have to get some O'Driscoll's myself, because I try to recreate these at my house, and I'm like, these do not taste like Gemma's. I don't know what she's done.
I've made them with
so
different
good.
whiskey, by the way, and they don't taste as good.
Oh yeah, no, they're fantastic.
So yeah, no, I use O'Driscoll's a lot, and that's like my dad. So it started by my cousin Michael Stafford, who still lives in Wexford, where my family is from. Michael and I's grandparents have been in the business of food and beverage for many, many years. This is part of like my family history. So our fathers worked together in the beverage industry. So a few years ago, Michael started O'Driscoll's Whiskey. I'm a brand ambassador. That makes me really proud. That makes me very proud to continue on what was, you know, part of my father's business, a business that I grew up watching him go to every single day. My father was a wine merchant. He worked in spirits and alcohol. He worked for Heineken. So it makes me very proud to continue on that. So anyway, long story short, I love to do a little bit of Irish whiskey. Then we do like Irish dinner, you know, and you can even do like roast beef. Like roast dinners are so traditional in Ireland. And then for desserts, I like to keep it simple when I think of Irish desserts. You know, baked custards, apple crumbles and crisps, rhubarb crisps, which, you know, in Ireland you can get rhubarb all year round, rhubarb crumbles, tarts. My mum used to make the most amazing rice pudding, which is so simple, which I absolutely love. You know what one of my favorite things is? And we made it recently, actually. I adore, and this is what I grew up with. So when I think of comfort food, for me, it's like bread pudding. Mm-hmm. So I adore bread pudding. I have a traditional bread pudding on my website, but Ami and I recently did one with a twist, which was a whiskey bread pudding with caramel sauce on top. And that just launched on the website, actually. And it is next level.
And you used your family's whiskey?
I did.
Where can you buy it?
You can buy it. So actually, that's a good question. Go to o'driscolls.com. I'll show you what it looks like. I have it down here. I was having a morning bevy. And it just happened to be right beside me.
She poured that in her Shamrock Shake.
Yeah. More Shamrock Shake. That's what makes it Shamrock. That's what makes it rock.
Yeah.
It's aged in bourbon casks for a minimum of 3 years, so it has really great flavor, and I find it very smooth.
Yeah. So do you get like cases of it? Do you have like a stash back there?
Of course, I have a stash.
Yeah.
my liquor bar is like for doomsday. I am well stocked.
Well, thank you both so much. Thank you, Gemma, for sharing all those traditions about Ireland and St. Patrick's Day. I feel like, I don't know, Ami, I feel like you and I now have a different perspective on the holiday.
I really do. I feel like I'm going to, we have there's this Irish apple tart that's on BBB that I love so much. It's so simple. It's so good. And it has this really lovely ratio of pastry to apples, where like a lot of American apple pies are loaded with apples and you're eating mostly cooked apples and a little bit of pastry. It's like, it's just a little different. And there's no cinnamon in there. So it's a really clean, bright apple taste. It's so good. And now I'm kind of thinking like, oh, well, if I can make that to celebrate St. Patrick's Day instead of dyeing everything green, well, maybe I'm going to do that.
Yeah, a bit of lightly whipped cream on top.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yum.
Well, thank you both so much again on sharing all that information about St. Patrick's Day. I feel like I'm even more excited to celebrate it this year, knowing more of the traditions.
Yeah, a little bit of my culture.
And we are back with the Bold Baking Hotline, which is where we answer questions directly from the audience. And sticking on theme here with St. Patrick's Day, we only have one question today, and it's really, if you did want to dye your food for St. Patrick's Day green, but didn't want to use artificial dyes, what are some ways you could naturally dye food?
Well, I have a secret confession to make. These Shamrock Shakes have not been colored with food dye.
What?
They have been colored with spirulina.
No way!
Yeah, so if you don't know what spirulina is, it's a blue-green algae. It's very, very healthy for you. And you don't really need very much, because if you put too much in, it's going to give it a little bit of a flavor. But for these 3 shakes, I used maybe about a 1/4 teaspoon, maybe a slightly more than that, maybe like a rounded 1/4 teaspoon. So you just put in a little bit. You can use spirulina to color drinks. You can, you just add a little bit in. You could probably color shortbread cookies with it.
That's great. And you know what? I'm not tasting, because there's mint in this. I'm not tasting anything.
No. And you can use matcha as well, which would give it a green color, but also a little bit more of a bitter flavor, which is delicious if you want that flavor.
And probably more expensive too, right? Is spirulina expensive?
Yeah, I mean, but you only need such a tiny amount.
Yeah.
And then it's really like great to put in smoothies and shakes through the year. So I think of it as a great supplement. It's like something nice to just have.
That's a really good trick.
Yeah.
I thought spirulina was blue.
No, green. It's an algae.
It is blue-green algae. So you are both right.
Oh, because I think it's a Jamba Juice. There's like a spirulina shake that's blue.
That's a little blue. It might be just like how it reacts to whatever else might be in the smoothie.
And the berries, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And quite honestly, if you're doing smoothies or shakes or drinks, another fun way is a handful of spinach, which is very mild. Kale is bitter. Swiss chard is, kind of gives a flavor. But if you use just a few spinach leaves, you're going to get a really nice bright green color, and you won't taste anything at all.
You do need a high-speed blender for that, though, don't you, when you're adding in
You do, because you might see little bits.
Yeah.
Little bits. So, you could, it depends on how sensitive, if you've got kids who will,
I can see my 5-year-old like, wait a second.
Why is it chunky?
I mean, I can't. This might be one of the nicest things we've tasted.
So delicious.
And so
my
good
first
for you.
ever Shamrock Shake, and it is very yummy. It's ice cream though, and mint, and it's things I like.
Yeah, it's vanilla ice cream, little peppermint oil, little spirulina, and a little splash of milk.
Yummy.
Thank you all so much for listening. Please make sure to like, subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to podcasts. And you can catch every episode of Need to Know on YouTube.
From HRN and the Bold Baking Network, you are watching the Need to Know Baking Entertainment podcast.